Call to order. Is Cameron on?
Yeah.
Does council have anything they would like to speak to me about? Pardon?
I would like you to address council on the issue that's out in the public. I would like you to address the issue to discuss with, bring it to council on the issue that's out in public.
Okay, so the post was put up on Wednesday night, and it was regarding the Hart Hotel. And Darlene Supernault wanted me to shut down the Hart Hotel, and I told her no, we couldn't. And then she went on with the cookies, and then she went on with Hillcrest, and again said, those are bylaws. Again, you will have to ask the owner, so forth and so forth. Then Rosanna said on there, you don't want Lorraine mad at me. So I messaged Rosanna, and I said, what are you talking about? And she had that on her messenger. And I snapshot it, and I put it on there myself, because I felt she was blackmailing me. Which I realize now that that was not a good thing, because people interpreted it wrong. And that's all I can say. I'm very sorry about it, and I'm trying, well, I did hire Richard, but he threw me under the bus. So no, I won't be dealing with Richard, but I did reach out to a band member today, and he's going to help me take the course.
So, after all this blew up, were you on social media?
Sorry, I can't.
When all this blew up on Friday, were you continually on social media?
No, I was on my own page.
Were you on social media?
No, I was on my own page, Barb. My own social media page.
Well, I don't know, it was posted on your social page, your own personal page to begin with, was it not?
No, it was posted on what's happening in Pooskoopi. That was a couple years ago, that post. I deleted it right away.
Okay, a couple of years ago you were still the mayor, correct?
Roseanne Supernault copied it. It wasn't on my mayor page, it was on my personal page. Anything else? Mine?
There are other issues.
Yeah?
Yes.
I realize that.
And it's difficult now for us to move forward. I'm getting texts and phone calls from the island.
So am I. I got emails coming out of my yin-yang for me not to resign. From all over Canada. Do not cancel culture. Stand up to it. You did nothing wrong. That was an environmental post. Stand up to culture. And you do need a course on Indigenous people. I took 4 hours I paid Richard for 4 hours, and then he threw me under the bus, so no, he won't be doing it again.
And the code of conduct,
The code of conduct on Facebook?
that we have our policy.
Yes, I realize that.
Yeah, well, there was a complaint brought in.
I realize that too, and I will come back with that.
Well, it was brought forward to us. It would have been nice had you been here on Saturday.
I could not be here on Saturday morning.
I understand that. And all of this has to be dealt with. It just
I realize that, and
be left out in the air.
as one day at a time. 1 foot forward. And you know I will.
Yeah.
Ken?
Well, there's several issues, and one with regards to the cultural insensitivity of the post. there's the issue with regards to accusations that were brought against you, and they were documented. Proof was attached to the accusations, and
where are these accusations?
those are visible on YouTube now. They've been made public. And in addition, as I mentioned to you earlier today, there is a post which seems to have a lack of sensitivity towards people of the Jewish faith.
No, there's two posts missing out of that.
I'm sorry?
There was 2 posts missing out of that.
But did you not compare yourself to quote unquote a Jew in a cattle cart?
Waiting for, like the Jews waiting for the cattle cart, yes.
So you would liken your position to a Jew in a cattle cart waiting to go to?
Once they take our guns away, back like Hitler, that's what it was all about.
You know what? That is a terrible, terrible comparison. How dare you compare yourself to a Jewish person? There is no comparison. And that comparison is inexcusable. That doesn't hold water.
I realize that, Ken, but that again was taken out of context.
But those are your words.
Yes.
How else can they be interpreted?
There was 5 different posts about that, Ken.
Explain to me. We're here.
I don't even remember what the post was really about.
Let me send it to you right now.
That little slur,
No.
that little burp, but there was 4 or 5 different comments.
How else do you explain that? That is insensitive. Again, culturally insensitive.
Yes, I realize that, and I am taking courses on that.
So, and agreed, and that's a great thing. We make mistakes. We admit our mistakes.
And I'm sitting here
Yeah.
in front of you guys.
But do you think just admitting my mistake and saying I made a mistake, now let's move on?
No, because I have to take courses to learn to be sensitive about other cultures. If
that's going to be it.
No, and then I continue to study it, change my ways.
And so this is going to happen overnight.
No, it's not going to happen overnight, Ken. You expect it to happen overnight?
Well, this is what I'm
I wish we
wondering.
all could go snap our fingers
I
and have some
realize that,
fun.
but you want to continue as if nothing has happened.
No. I asked council in my letter to give me another chance, is what I asked you.
And you know what, and that's something for council to decide. But the decision of what to do is yours right here.
Exactly. And I'm not resigning.
Fair? Okay. And there's nothing we can do to make you resign.
Exactly. Bart?
I find your attitude is very confrontational. I don't feel the empathy on what you've done.
What do you mean, Barb? I don't understand. First of all, I can't hear you.
I am not taking my mask off.
No, I'm not asking you. Just pull it out so I can hear you.
I find you very confrontational, and you're not telling us anything that you're remorseful at all. You just want to say, all right, suck it up, move on. And
I
I'm
didn't
not.
say that. I did not say suck it up and move on.
What
Because
is?
I'm not sitting here crying. You think I'm not remorseful? I am sincerely sorry that I put that post up there.
A post?
Several posts, I understand. I haven't seen the posts. Barb, I haven't had time to watch the video. I haven't seen what else she gave for documentation. Okay?
I just don't understand how we can move forward and you still sit in this chair and get
Well, Barb, I ain't going anywhere.
village business.
I ain't going anywhere.
May I?
No. Donna.
I have nothing to say. I've already said it all, Jean.
Well, I didn't hear you. Maybe you should tell these people in town.
Well, I've told you to stay off of social media.
Yes, thank you.
Because you get a little
Irate.
upset and hairy, yes.
I do. I do.
You put
When I
your-
get called out
You
for
change
Shaw.
feet, you open your mouth to change feet.
Yeah, when I get called out for Shaw to help people with the stuff, and then get 5 other folks and gets viewed too much. So now I'm deleted off there, so I can't even look. So, call to order, adoption of agenda, new, can I get a seconder?
A second.
Any discussion?
Am I being muzzled? Am I being muzzled here?
No, we're
We're
doing
on,
this.
we're on camera here, okay?
I don't care.
I would like to address your accusations directed
You
at
can
me.
address your accusations when we are done this part of it, because this man is on the clock. And this man has a house, a wife to come home to for supper. This man, this agenda is about this man. Okay? So you can address it when I am done with him. End this. New business recommendation?
That council discuss proceedings with the engineered drawings before approval of the grant is awarded.
Can I get a seconder?
Second.
Discussion? Chris?
Yep, thank you, Worship. So the item in front of council tonight is a budget decision. So council approved the grant to move forward for the fire hall expansion. What we've come to learn is that the grant isn't, we won't know about the grant until the 15th of March. And due to the tight timeline, I think it's probably a good idea if council considers doing the engineering before we know the decision on the grant. That way we'll have one of those shovel-ready projects. So I sent out an email to council highlighting some of the things I'd spoken about with the engineers. They're basically saying a project of this scope is roughly 60 days to complete and do their proper due diligence. What I'm concerned with is if we wait until the grant decision has been made, whether we get it or not, 60 days, after March 15th, and we still have to go through tendering, contract award, and mobilization, and all the other steps in a project of this magnitude. I'm fearful that that delay will push us into a point where we probably don't have much of a chance to get this thing built by December 31st.
So Leonard has given us $25,000, and then Ovintiv was going to give us some money, and I won't know till Wednesday.
Okay.
So it's not going to affect the grant if we do this ahead of time?
Based on our research, from what we've been able to see, it shouldn't affect the grant. However, the grant literature does say that any costs incurred prior to the grant decision aren't eligible for grant funding.
Okay, so this would be coming out of our pocket.
I believe so, yeah.
Okay.
I didn't know if you changed your mind or not.
No.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
have 2 questions.
Okay.
When did you speak to Leonard?
Leonard told us that night.
Okay. And 2 is, I don't think council has decided what we want to have in this extension, this build on. The paper that we had was roundingly and whatever. I think we need to decide why and what we're gonna put in that extended.
That's where the engineered plans come in, Barb. That's what we're talking about. What do you, okay, no, she's not done. What do you mean?
I want to know, how can we ask them to make plans and drawings when we haven't decided what we want? Council hasn't decided what we're gonna have in this extension.
Was something sent in?
Pardon me?
Was something sent in for the grant?
Chris?
Yeah, thank you. So I know in conversation with the fire chief, a preliminary drawing was presented to council along with the grant. I believe that's changed a little bit since the preliminary drawing. But it is correct that it's part of the engineering phase to discuss with council how that structure is going to look. So what my hope is to send those engineers that preliminary or the revised drawing, and then have the initial few consultations with the fire chief, being that it's his specialty to come up with a preliminary layout, and then council to make sure that that design meets all of your guys' objectives as well. Because it's an engineering plan for a village building, the facility cannot go through until council has okayed the engineering and the architecture. So rest assured, Councillor Smith, it's not something that we'll design and then, oh, well, we're gonna start building and here's how it looks. Council will absolutely have the final say on the design process.
Are you okay with that, Bert?
I guess I have to be.
Right.
This is pivotal on the grant, but yet the grant said that December 31st it had to be completed, and this is highly unlikely. So really, the grant's out the window no matter what.
Not necessarily.
Chris?
Yeah, apologies. The grant literature says that any project or any cost completed after that December 31st timeline are ineligible for funding. Now, so that means, you know, should the project extend past December 31st, the village would likely be responsible for those costs. However, in the context of the conversation with the engineers, they mentioned multiple possible construction material delays due to COVID. So the structural steel, for example, they mentioned somewhere in a 3 to 6 month delay over what would normally be the fabrication time for those pieces of the project. What we don't know yet is, because those are COVID related delays, if that by definition extends our grant. So example, we lay the concrete, start putting up the walls, and we find out that the roof beams are 6 months out, and those won't be arrived, you know, those won't arrive until March. It's not the village's fault, it's neither the grant fault, so we don't know yet how that would impact the timeline or any possible extension for the grant.
I would like something definite. I don't know. And I'm not going forward to the public and saying, gee, you know, I voted on this and I really don't know. I have a problem with that.
Chris?
Yeah, maybe just a point of clarification here, Councilor Weaver. The matter in front of council is just for the engineering phase.
I know.
So, you know, even if the engineering's done, council still has the final say into whether or not to proceed with the construction. And, you know, over the last few months with all these COVID-related grants coming out, there's been a lot of literature about, you know, having shovel-ready projects as the federal and provincial governments roll out these grants to support businesses and municipalities. There's been a lot of suggestive literature that says have shovel-ready projects for when we do the grants. We're reacting to this one because it was an extremely tight timeline. But in my opinion, this won't be the one and only grant that a possible fire hall construction would fall into. So in this case, we would have, you know, those engineered plans, the design up front, so we wouldn't be behind the 8 ball for the next grant application. But, you know, in terms of the overall grant, again, as I mentioned to you, you know, once the engineering's done, if it's just looking not feasible, or the engineers run into a significant design delay that adds 30 days to that, absolutely we'll have another conversation about whether or not this project is still feasible in 2021.
And we're still using Forest Engineering? Is that who we're gonna use?
Not sure yet, Your Worship.
Well, because they built on to the last one, right? Like they built the last one. Did the engineer?
It's my understanding.
Ryan, did you?
Yeah, investing this amount of money into an engineered plan, and perhaps we have to wait. Does the public have any say in this? No?
That's actually at council's discretion.
This is, yeah.
Yeah. So council's free to involve the public in any
But
way,
if
in any
we
step of
do,
this
if we do bring
process.
the
that you
public
feel.
in right now, we wouldn't have it built, right? We can bring the public in once everything else, once we got the engineered plans. We can start, do the engineered plans, then bring the public in, can we not?
It's up to you guys. Like I say, council's at liberty to involve the public in any stage of your construction process that you feel, but again, being mindful of the timeline.
Yeah.
So if council were to engage in a 2-month consultation process with the public, for example, as to, you know, how the fire hall would look, that likely means it's not happening this year.
Ben, do you have anything to say? Oh, you have lots to say.
It's just a question. And I see the amount, 1.3, 1.2, 1.5?
1.57 is the amount submitted for the grant.
$1.5 million for a renovation.
A significant addition.
You saw the plans, wasn't a renovation.
To add on,
Well, I think that's where I'm headed. You know, for that kind of money, do you not think that we could buy a beautiful standalone to augment the operation? And which would incorporate fire, police, ambulance, everything. And perhaps even bigger, so that you wouldn't be so tight with your dimensions for the fire truck.
What do you think, Blair?
Either way, right now, the biggest concern I got, the biggest concern I have right now is our training room. For us, our training, even if we want to do training just with the members we have, you take this room here, is probably 1.5 times bigger than what we have.
yeah, it's pretty tight over there.
And we're training out of our kitchen, is what we're training out of.
Art?
There is a training center in Dawson Creek, and also we have our community center.
We've discussed the community center. The training center does not have a training sit-down area right now. So they're looking at it down a couple of years down the road from what I've been told. But as far as a training classroom, there's really nothing per se. And for us to go to the community center means we have to have a storage area there to store some of our props, training, TVs, cameras, that kind of stuff. So, you know, you're asking volunteers to do all this on, you know, a 3.5 hour night. That's one of the issues.
Chris?
Yeah, thank you, Worship. To address Councillor Drover's comments, that was something that the engineers brought up as well, that the most significant difficulty with that existing structure is the roof line and then the partition wall that would exist between the two new structures.
So did we, for our grant, did we ask for an add-on to the fire hall, or did we ask that it would be
The
built?
plans that were submitted was to have the two, for lack of a better word, sort of glued together. But the engineers did say that there is the possibility to sort of build a separate structure and connect it with a causeway or breezeway. The fire chief and I have actually sort of expanded on that potential alternate design and thought, well, maybe it's operations, and then we have a training center in the middle. So a building, in essence, that separates the two larger buildings where that training could be centrally located. That way anybody training coming in from outside the community isn't entering the fire hall, they're going into sort of it's a building attaching the two. But I believe if council moves forward with the pre-engineering phase of it here today, that's a conversation that can be had with the engineers, certainly from a budget standpoint. Again, folks, it's your building. So, you know, if you guys want to explore with the engineers, hey, can we save a couple of $100,000 by not gluing these things together and destroying the roof line? Is it easier to just do this? You're 100% open to that conversation.
Because I do believe the money for the original home, albeit how old now, was 1.3 million.
2009.
1.3 million for that building.
So $200,000, Art?
To have a ambulance there, I want written paperwork from DC Ambulance that if we do this, that they would consider putting an ambulance in. 2, if we're gonna accommodate search and rescue, they said they can contribute, I want it in writing what they can contribute. And the cost of this tour, the residents of Poos already have ambulance service. So,
What do you
I'm
mean the
sorry.
residents of Poos have ambulance service? Art, what would you clarify that for?
If I got in an accident tomorrow, fell on the sidewalk, an ambulance would come to Poos.
But a lot of times the ambulance take a long time to get here, right? Blair, will you clarify on that one, when that one, you guys had to jump in?
They've given us time for about 45 minutes. It could be because one of our rigs is maybe in Chetland or Fort St. John, but they've had to come this way.
Yeah, it took them an hour to come to get involved.
So, you're okay with 4 ambulances in Dawson Creek?
Yeah, that's what everybody else has to. Like,
So if,
can we afford this?
so Leonard told you he would buy a Tahoe for an ambulance. If we couldn't get an ambulance. Leonard also said he would help with the medical contract, which would help pay for everything.
But I've seen nothing in writing.
Because we're still working on the contract part.
Well, I'm sorry.
But Barbara's saying that she would like to see things in writing before has to make a
Commit
decision.
1 point something million?
No,
But Leonard told you that on the
220,000.
screen that he was working on that,
Yes,
right?
and in reference to this being our building,
It's PRB's also, because they pay 35%.
yeah, but
That
it
equipment
is,
theirs.
it is the villages too. And I think that the village is the people.
But if PRD is paying to help pay for the inside and do other stuff with it, the medical thing, we also have to, remember it's a PRD.
Yes,
Because we do go out into the PRD with our fire trucks, do we not, Claire?
yes, and have for years,
Yeah.
great. But
So it's really both of ours, PRD and the Village of Blue Creek.
yeah, I just think that the public should have an opportunity.
Well, we can always ask them,
Yeah,
put a thing in the, Sandy, how would you be cool about doing that? For what, sorry? Engaging the residents. Well, we might as well do a Dropbox since it's the PRD too, right?
What are we engaging the residents on?
Well, Marlene wants to engage the community on our fire hall,
the expansion.
the expansion of it.
You mean want to send out a survey to find out if they really want it or not? Is that what you're for or against?
But I would like to know what their thoughts are on us going ahead with this.
A public meeting.
But we can't have a
meet it
public
right now.
meeting. We can't have a public meeting thanks to COVID.
We can do a survey. We could set up a Zoom call where people could.
What about a survey online on the village website?
Yeah. Pauline could do that.
Would that be good?
I do want public input. I want public input.
So you want them to take on the survey, what they want on the survey, which,
I want to know what they're thinking about the expansion of this fire hall.
so what questions would you want on that survey?
Well, I think you have to give them information about this fire hall
Yeah,
expansion.
so you want them to.
I want all information, all pertinent information given to the public. Yeah,
How about if administration drafts something up and bring it back to council?
But we
Okay.
still have to pass this to be able to get it started.
But either way, we can't have a survey done right now, right? Well, we can't get the survey done right this minute.
No, but we have to pass this, do we not, Chris?
No, definitely no requirement to pass it.
But how long does
just-
it take for the engineered plans?
They're looking at a minimum of 60 days, so time is of the essence here.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. So we can simultaneously go out to community consultation and engineering, but I hear the concerns that we're jumping the gun of the engineering. If the community comes back and says, no, we're not interested in expanding the fire hall, then it's a shovel-ready project that will never get any
Because the
traction.
chances are we already have 50 grand, right? Hopefully.
Yeah, potentially, I mean,
So that would be 40.
and we really don't know the status of the grant. I believe it was $80 million that the province made.
1.65 billion, I thought it was.
There's two different numbers for it.
Yeah,
The main
I'm
one on
sorry.
the one page says 86.5 million, and then there's this other number that is floating around, so I don't know what the actual number is. But the maximum any municipality can receive is 10 million. That's the top amount.
Claire?
In addition to Councilor's wish, can we also have stated everything the fire department does? In that notice?
In the training and the,
Yeah, the time and all the services we provide and all that stuff as well?
yeah, we can, Kate is making that motion.
I'll make the motion.
You're gonna make the motion? Okay, what are we putting in it?
That we're gonna find, to tell everybody what we wanna put in and then the reason behind it.
Okay, is that good, Claire? No. Okay. Anything else, Ken?
We're facing a significant time crunch. Um,
I think we should do the engineer plans too, because we're getting some grants for it.
We have the great likelihood of getting grants for it. But yet, we still don't know what we're going to do, add on new or whatever, there's lots of unknowns. However, the money is there and it's a substantial amount of money. And with the operational commitment of the PRRD, it's like, this might be that opportunity to move our community forward. And we are elected to represent the community. So, we are there to make these decisions.
We've already got a crowded place over there right now with, the South Peace Rescue things are out there in the snow. If they have to go out and do a rescue, they're not gonna get that truck started. You know what I'm saying? And to try and get it out of there, but if they have it inside of the building, then it's all much, much more better for all of us. You know what I'm saying?
Is there a motion on the table?
Yes, Donna has a motion on the floor. Donna, do you want to, or Sandy, do you want to reinstate Donna's motion, please?
Our motion is to state all services that are fire include. State all the services that the fire department does for the village to be included in the survey that goes out to everybody. Right? But I need a seconder.
No, I'll second that.
You can't.
We can't have it.
I'll second.
And as well as all of the things that will be included in that building?
Yes.
Sure.
All in favor? Okay. That's fine. Okay,
I'm sorry, what did you say?
that was fine.
Four.
There should be four. Chris?
Yeah, thanks, your worship. If I'm not mistaken, we just closed the motion to do the community consultation, but I believe the motion to determine what to do with the engineering is still open.
Yep. Make the motion that we go ahead with the engineering project management.
A dollar value assigned to that as well, please, Councilor.
What's been suggested?
I would probably recommend, given the conversation I've had, up to 120,000.
So the motion is to proceed with the engineering up to
120.
120 or 125?
Whatever Chris has in their report.
120, yes.
Okay. Is there a seconder on this one?
To a maximum, right?
Yeah.
To a maximum. I'll second.
Discussion? All in favor? What you wanted to talk about?
Yeah,
I didn't see your hand is.
I feel uncomfortable at this point going forward with this, with the engineered plans at this time.
But even if I don't do it, we still have the engineered plans, right? and we can save the money, or do it, wait.
Like you said, that there might be other, if we don't get this grant, there's other grants that will be available out there that we might be able to apply for, to be able to still do it, and then they will have the plans already done, so that, that'll be one thing done.
You can certainly understand the confusion though, because we don't know what we want.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we have to work with the engineers to do that, which all of us and Brett and Blair.
I'd like to have them have more than 4 feet in front and back to move around his farm.
What was that, Ken?
I'd like for him to have more than 4 feet to in front, to and back for his fire truck to move around.
So do I.
Barb, did I see your hand up?
Yes. I can't approve this motion because we haven't heard from our residents. I can't make a motion.
So I call vote. All in favor? Opposed?
And I would like it so noted, please.
So it's defeated?
Mhm.
Pardon me?
Corporate officer, the status of the motion?
It's defeated.
It's defeated.
Yeah. So, Blair, thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. And good night.
Good night. You had Wendy for me.
Night, Bert.
Richard, no. You, are you a delegation? Or a late item, or
I'm sorry?
are you a delegation or a late item? You just
Okay.
walked in?
I've been invited here by a council member. Couple things, I just
By
like,
a council member?
yes, I was.
Could you state that council member's name? Barb Smith?
Okay. I've been speaking to a number of political First Nations leaders. I'm going to start off with this one. This person is a council member of the Soda First Nations. Her name is Tammy Lee Watson. She's a 4-time elected member of the Soda First Nations Council. She had worked for the BC Provincial Council government as an Aboriginal advisor and still advises them on certain issues. She did serve in Mike Burney's executive committee as their Aboriginal representative, was selected by Minister Burke to represent Northern BC First Nations on the Northern Lights College Board of Directors, and elected by all the Treaty 8 BC chiefs to represent Northeastern BC for a 2-year term on BC First Nation Health Council. And during this term, part of the team responsible for developing the First Nations Health Cultural Competency Training. Okay, now with that being said, her official statement to Mayor McKetty's comment, and what has been regarded as a very racial comment, is this. First of all, her and I would both like to express our absolute, how do I say this, positive expression of how council handled this on Saturday. The press release that was put out, where you had all apologized, removed yourself, separated yourself from the comment in question, and how you took decisive, immediate action and expressed exactly what plans you would, or what steps you would be taking moving forward. One of the things she did tell me is that the Treaty 8 First Nations chief of Northeastern BC will be making a statement on this, but they want to make a collective statement. She did allow me, though, she did allow me to share her comment with 3 news outlets, one from Vancouver Island, one from Port St. John, one from Dawson Creek. Hers is this, and I'm just going to share with you guys. For council members.
No, Sandy needs a copy of the agenda.
It's pretty clear. The Pouce Coupe Council addressed the issue as best they could and are following, that's all I got, Dick and Sharon, okay? And they're following the correct path moving forward. The focus should be on education and awareness. If further action regarding any kind of a reprimand from Ms. McKenny. That will come from the constituents of Scoopy. She's got that on there. The president of the Northeast Métis Association has expressed his absolute condemnation with the comment in question and wishes for the mayor to resign. Dean Gladue is the Region 3 director of the Métis Provincial Council. He's a retired RCMP officer, and he expressed that same sentiment that, wait a minute, I'm not done yet. Okay?
Coffee.
He had expressed publicly that a resignation by the mayor is the only acceptable
And when was this?
going forward. This afternoon, and I know you spoke to him too, by the way. He was kind of shocked in that thing. Now, with that being said, that's just three political figures that I want to bring up right now. Now, with that being said, on the issue of when I first got here, and this thrown under the bus comment, that's, I have to admit, that's kind of funny. I would just like to say that I don't appreciate the fact that I was, you know, had the blame thrown on me here. Now, there was a lie that you had mentioned earlier about you not being able to remember in what context that remark was made when you said something about being compared to a Jew and being on a bus. Well, you sent me this.
Yeah, I did.
Wait a minute, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet.
Don't argue.
Your words were,
Don't argue.
when Trudeau came to power, said he was taking our guns away, I was a Caucasian waiting for the cattle car to come out and take us to the gas chambers. Now, you just stated to Councillor Drover that you did not remember that. Oh, I don't remember that. It's on film, okay? Now, I'm still not done yet. With that being said, your comment about me throwing you under the bus, first of all, I never forced you to post such an offensive statement on social media. I'm not done on social media, okay? And
Meeting's over. You're out.
this is on
Meeting
film.
over. No, I don't care. Richard, you kept interrupting me. I'm still chair.
I was quiet when you told me to be. I let you finish.
I'm still chair. You.
I let you finish.
You are chair.
I let you finish.
Yes.
Okay?
I had questions.
Now, yes, I will be happy to answer your questions. Now, with all that
Yell at
being,
me and tell me.
with all that being said, one of the steps moving forward that the council had discussed last Saturday, I would just like to bring up the Truth and Reconciliations Commission 94 calls to action. I don't know if anybody's familiar with that. Okay. Well, number 57 on the Truth and Reconciliations 94 calls to action is this. Professional development and training for public servants. We call upon the federal, provincial, territorial, and municipal governments to provide education to public servants on the history of Aboriginal peoples, including the history and legacy of residential schools, the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous Peoples, treaties and Aboriginal rights, Aboriginal laws, Aboriginal common relations, stuff like that. That exactly goes to this program that I developed. Now, the province of BC last June, I believe, had put forward, the federal government had given the province of BC $16.15 million to deal with the TRC Commission's calls to action. I did have copies of that. I gave them to the mayor of Dawson Creek. Now, Lorraine's made a comment, the mayor made a comment earlier that she had people from all over Canada encouraging her to stay. She might have that. She might have hundreds. I've got thousands of people who contradict that sentiment. Thousands of people. So, for her to say that the majority of the people out there are on her side is blatantly false. This needs to be addressed. Anything short of her not resigning will not be accepted by the First Nations people in this area and elsewhere. This, like I said, has gone nationwide. As a matter of fact, it's gone as far as Texas and Taiwan. Let's chew on that for a while. Now, I, for one, will not allow myself to be attacked and be made a scapegoat for Mayor McKetty's comments that she posted on any social media site. This is not a circumstance of my creation. This is a circumstance of her creation. From her racist comments posted on Facebook, including the one that I showed Councillor Drover here about comparing herself to a Jew being loaded up on a train and taken to a camp. Is that not absurd?
We never saw what was ahead of that.
You're taking it out of context, Richard.
Taking it out of context, you wrote, again, taken off my Facebook page years ago when Trudeau came to power and said he was taking our guns away. I was a Caucasian waiting for the cattle car to come and get us and take us to the gas chambers. How is that taken out of context? Those are her words.
Point of order here. Thank you, Richard, but she is not recognizing you speaking, and I'm really disappointed to sit in this chair and have my integrity questioned about council. I'm sorry.
Well, I just got a text message from Dean Gladue. Did you do a press release on me resigning? Question mark, question mark. No. Richard just said you did a press release for me to retire.
No, never.
You did
We're
so.
talking about texting, and now you're still on there texting people.
I had to clarify something, Barb.
Oh, no. He made public statements
He said he
saying that you should resign. You want me to prove it?
Yeah, that's on your Facebook page. And he regrets doing that too. He told me that this morning.
Okay, well, you know what? I've still got those shots, okay? That's still on my page where he does state several times that you should resign. Now, if you convinced him from whatever methods you use to walk that back, sure, that's fine, Like you have changed your mind with certain things, he has every right to change his mind. So don't try to say that it's okay for you and not okay for him.
I didn't
Well,
say it was. You said he did a press release today.
no, I never said he did a press release. If I did,
Blowing out of proportion.
Yeah.
if I did, it was obviously a
Adjourn the meeting.
misspoken term.
Second motion.
Make a motion to adjourn.
A second.